The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back and we are getting ready for the PRI trade show. That's right, the entire racing industry from around the globe is headed to Indianapolis, Indiana one more time. Is it the final event of 2023 or is it the first event of 2024? I've been wondering that over the past couple of days, and we're going to talk all about it here on the show. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us just seconds from now as we bring him on the air to talk a little bit about what's going on at PRI and all the announcements and all the different stuff that is going on in the world of NHRA drag racing. Think about some of the silly season stuff that is going on. We're going to get into all of that on this show. Plus, we have got Flyin Ryan Oehler. He's going to be doing something at PRI. You want to know what it is, where you can find him, where you can hang out. You can try some of that El Bandito premium tequila. Guess what? He's going to be on the show not long from now. Fans of Flyin Ryan, you're going to want to share this show. Also, Factory X has been so popular over the course of 2023, and we got 4 cars out at once, right? More cars are on the way. What's the next car getting ready to drop? Well, it's going to be at the PRI trade show, but where is it going to be? How can you find it? And will we get a first look right here on the show? Yes, we will. Lenny Lottig going to be showing us his brand new Jerry Haas built Factory X Camaro on this show. So we're going to be all over the place, and this will be the final show of the week as I am headed out to PRI tomorrow, and we're going to get it on. It's going to be great. All kinds of stuff going on out there. I ask you to share the show on your social media. Let's get it out there. You know, we're fighting those algorithms, and that is a big challenge. And I do want to get to the sponsors. I want to tell you about the people who make it possible. But before I do that, as the audience builds for this show, I want to talk a little bit about something that happened this past week that I was a part of, and it was very exciting, and it generated some stories, and the stories are out of context, and I want everybody to know it's kind of a bummer, but also good, right? It depends on where you're sitting. I was part of the eparttrade.com industry week last Thursday and Friday. The folks at ePart Trade, Francisque and Judy, industry insiders, worked at PRI for many, many years. They started their own deal. It's an online seminars, and each year they invite me to be the host or moderator of several of their seminars. And I was there for the very first year in the launch, and it was amazing as this very small group of people kind of stood up their own company, their own business, and it was amazing to have people from around the world take part in it. And over the years, I've done, moderated different webinars from all kinds of forms of racing, right? Whether it be, chassis sim, and the folks are down there in Australia, wherever. This year, Rody Basso, who was a Formula One engineer, worked with Michael Schumacher, worked with Adrian Newey. He started his own electric boat series, E1. I moderated that one. But for the most part, they made me, in charge of drag racing for the most part, my area of top expertise. And so this past week, we had Matt Hartford, we had Tony Stewart, we had John Force, Austin Prock, Robert Height, Doug Coletta, a crew chief happy hour with Aaron Brooks. We had a lot of people, Aaron Brooks, John Oberhofer, and Rob Flynn. We're all part of it, and we had a lot of fun. It was great. Very well attended. You can find it online. It's out there. Day 4 of ePart Trade Industry Week. But during the John Force deal, we had Austin and we had John and Robert together. John went down a road that has spawned several columns out there and stories. I think Auto Week had one, Drag Illustrated had one. And the way it was positioned was that like John announces his post-retirement plans. That's like the headline, right? Like what, the exit strategy, or I don't really recall the exact headline. My apologies. I should have it here as I try to correct the record, but that's not what it was. Now, that headline definitely gets me interested, and I think that's part of it. And if you read the headline, John Force announces exit plan or firms up exit strategy. And, I got a call from John, and John's like, hey, it's not your fault, but this is what's happening. Like sponsors are like, hey, man, are you retiring, John? And the answer is no, he's not retiring. This is not about retirement. And I can tell you, as the person who moderated the conversation, the context was as follows. John was saying that everyone in any successful company needs to have someone to be their backup, someone who can do the job in case, for whatever reason, they can't do the job. And that was pretty much it. And he mentioned that if I ever couldn't get in the race car for whatever reason, Austin Prock can drive funny cars. He can drive dragsters. He can do anything. Robert Height, if Robert Height needed to do this, he could do this. If Brittany couldn't get in a car, there's someone in the company to be the backup for everyone else. And even said that, we didn't really have a backup for David Grubnick, obviously because he's so talented. And they've hired someone that will be announced soon, more than likely at the PRI trade show. So that was it. And when John said it initially, I thought that seems reasonable. But as is the case, often possible that people misunderstand or misconstrue, or the context is maybe unclear. All of those things can possibly be what happened in this case. But the story that came out of it, and the good news is that there were several stories that are out there, and John Force, and my name is in there, like 2 words, Joe Castello, moderator, something like that, as part of the story. But in the end, as the person who was there, I just want to tell you that the context is not John Force is retiring and announcing that Austin is going to be his backup driver, which would be a great replacement, but that's not the context. And so if this helps to clear some things up, I'm happy to do it. All right. I see Alan Reinhart getting ready down there. We got Flyin Ryan Oehler. We got Lenny Lottig going to come on, but I got to spend a minute or two telling you about the people who have invested so greatly in WFO Radio that I am empowered to do these kind of shows, like Bernie's Speed Shop. Oh, Bernie's down there in Ocala, Florida, talking about Josh Hart and the team. Loans announced on his podcast that Ronnie Thompson is going over there to join Ron Douglas to help out Josh Hart. That seems to make a lot of sense, and it is super exciting for the R&L Carriers Bernie Speed Shop team. Josh is going to have a big year, I think, in 2024, as they've been testing the past several races of the countdown. But Bernie's always wins. If you've got a classic muscle car or a modern muscle car that you're looking to sell on consignment, they do that and have something like 98% success. If you're looking for a frame-off restoration, if you're looking to have your family heirloom car turned into that high-quality collectible that you always knew it could be, go to Bernies.com, reach out to Josh Hart, tell him you heard about it on WFO Radio. If you're looking to buy an e-bike for someone, those are electric bikes. What's an e-bike? Those electric bikes. I wonder if the mountain bikes are still as expensive now that everybody's just switching to these electric bikes that no one has to pedal. They sell those at Bernie's. Go to Bernies.com, and Josh will be on the NHRA stage at PRI, so be on the lookout for that. Folks at Total Seal Piston Rings, booth number 1525. That's where I'm going to be. So swing by booth number 1525. We'll be recording live episodes on location at the PRI trade show from booth 1525. They've got all kinds of great stuff going on. Lake Speed is going to be in and out. They're going to be doing a couple of Rottler honing demonstrations. Lake and Keith Jones going to be over there doing honing demonstrations. I think 11 to 1, double check for the actual time, but a lot going on around Total Seal. And if you didn't know already, the technology has changed when it comes to piston rings, and now they're lighter and thinner and better and make a whole lot more horsepower. So if you're an engine builder and you're sticking to your old tried and true ways, it's time to switch it up. Go to TotalSeal.com and be sure to see these guys. Booth number 1525 at the PRI trade show. The folks at Foggett, The folks at Foggit are going to be at the PRI trade show as well. I got that number. Where is it? Right? Foggit Foggit. That is Gary Stinnett's company, and it is booth number 2039. Swing by and see Gary and Steve. 2039. They've doubled their booth size. They got some new fancy chairs Gary was telling me about. In the end, it's all an exercise in protecting the inside of your engine. You spend all this money on your cylinder hone and your piston rings and everything to go into it, and then one night parking it in your trailer after a night of racing can do permanent damage to the inside of your cylinders with microscopic corrosion. The Foggit, you spray it down the carburetor or into the spark plug holes, arrests that, stops that. And it's got a whole bunch of other uses around the house. Go to Amazon.com and type in Foggit. They are now an Amazon choice product, and you can get on board with the folks at Foggit, Gary Stinnett and those guys. We told you a little bit about FTI performance transmissions and torque converters at the start of the show. The leader in performance racing transmissions and torque converters. There is a new company coming, and there will be a big announcement Thursday morning, 10 a.m., booth number, 225. Hey, I've got all these booth numbers, and it's 225. Paul Lee is going to be there. Greg Samuel is going to be there from FTI, and they're going to be making huge announcements about a torque converter and transmission parts company. Super excited about that. Folks at Phillips Connect, they always win. Talking about smart trailer technology. Justin Ashley just made another huge announcement with a snack food that is going to be available in Menards. Just great stuff. But Phillips Connect, the ones that make it possible. Phillips-Connect.com. You're out there on the road. You're in the trucking industry. You've got an issue with the trailer back there. How would the driver possibly know? Well, they know when things catch fire, they hear a loud sound, or all of a sudden it's hard to control. With the Phillips Connect smart trailer technology, you know in advance. And that is peace of mind. So go to Phillips-Connect.com to find out more. You can always reach out to me, Joe at WFOradio.com. Later on in the show, I'll tell you a little bit about Frank Hawley's drag racing school. I'll tell you a little bit about the folks at samtech.edu and my buddy Marvin Rodak and RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. But right now, let's bring on the voice of the National Hot Rod Association, Alan Reinhart, who's getting ready to leave for the PRI trade show, which he will be at with no official duties, which means he gets to have fun the whole time. What's up, AR?
Well, I'm there looking after, my company and taking care of things for Wild West Engineering and things that I need to do. And, I guess it's probably good a time as any to announce, but Joe, this is my last show. I quit. I'm done. When John quits and Austin starts driving the funny car, I'm going to start driving the dragster. And, yeah, that's
why they got a new.
I believe at the, I believe my debut is going to be at the SCAG, pro super duper. What do they call it? Superstar
shootout.
That race, yeah, shootout. Yeah. There you go. So
the next big nitro.
There you go.
On the calendar.
Yep, I'm part of the chain. So since John is quitting, we're all moving up a spot, and I'm going into the dragster.
Understood. Now it makes sense. It was logical. You've been teasing this thing for like 20 years, and finally it's happening, and I'm excited about it. But okay,
John wouldn't quit. I mean, come on.
Until
we were going to do this 15 years ago. John wouldn't quit. It's like, hey, John, you're 60. John, you're 65.
Yeah.
John, you're 68. John, what are you doing to me here? So if anybody, I'm also starting a new transmission converter parts company. I'm going to be part of the big Joe Maynard announcement at the NHRA stage, which is going to take place Friday morning. A lot going on in my world right now. A lot going on.
Well, you're a very busy guy. You might as well swing by the Total Seal booth also. So if anybody,
I'm teaching the honing class too. I forgot about that.
If anybody,
it's all me.
knows what it's like to say something and know what was said, or have a pretty good idea what was said, and then to see or read something that's not related to what you said, but certainly about it. What happened with John this past week after the E-Part trade deal, he starts talking about it, and I'm thinking to myself, that sounds very obvious. It didn't even like go off in my mind as like, this could be trouble. Sometimes when I'm talking to John, that alert goes off. This could be trouble alert. it didn't go off this time. I was like, that sounds reasonable. John is talking about everybody in the business needs to have a backup. And this is kind of territory that we have covered in the past. But then there's an Auto Week story, this Track Illustrated story. And, you want to click on that. John Force, man, he's announcing something. And no, he didn't. But it was good for ePart Trade because they got a little pub out of it. But what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, but it's like we talked about 100 times, right? If I say, hey, I like puppies, there's going to be a story next week that says Reinhart hates kittens.
Like, yes, you hate the kittens. Why? What? I've got so many.
What? And it's just, John looked at his organization and said, you know what? I don't have everything in place, right? I mean, especially this days and age, right? Guys get sick. You can't work for a week or for a couple of weeks. You can't travel. You can't do that. Guys get hurt. Guys have family emergencies. You got to have somebody that can jump in, whether it's driving the car, whether it's tuning the car. I thought the Grubnick thing was interesting. He said, I didn't have a solid backup for Grubnick. And the next thing I know, David Grubnick's leaving. What?
Right. Or left. What? That's one that I didn't have a backup for Grubnick. And people said, Grubnick's gone. He's not gone.
So, it's going to be announced officially this weekend. I'm going to be David's backup as well as driving the other fuel car. So, a lot going on in my world right now.
Well,
I'm also going to. I'm also buying Aaron Stanfield's factory stock showdown car. I'm going to run that one too.
Yeah, well, you're making me feel unaccomplished right now, Alan. You've got all these things going on, and there's loans. He's got 100 things going on. There's you got all these things going on. The Jason's got all these things going on, and Castello has got nothing going on. I bought a vacuum though, so there's that.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Everybody was very
into
the
vacuum. I hope you get as much enjoyment out of your vacuum as I'm getting out of my new TV.
Yeah. I am. I got to say, so far, the vacuum's a great score. I'm loving it. Not as much as the 90-inch TV, but my goodness, it's been great. And yes, thank you to everyone. Alan, I said it on the Ignition show. I'll say it again. It's just because everybody's sharing. Of course, we got Flyin Ryan. We got Lenny Lottig. They're all going to come on. Obviously, you're welcome to hang in there for Flyin Ryan. And Lenny is going to showcase his new Factory X car. But I got more emails about the stupid vacuum conversation than I think any other topic this season. You and I had that unbelievable conversation about Elite Motorsports last week and all the different stuff going on. And what are people emailing about? The vacuum. Go with the Shark. Get the Dyson. Get this other one. And I knew that. I know people love those questions.
I actually do have some Richard Freeman news, though.
Oh, break it out.
Well, I don't know, how close you follow college sports and things that are going on, but the Alamo Bowl, which will be coming up in San Antonio, Texas, December 28th, will feature the University of Arizona and the University of Oklahoma. So I reached out to Richard and I said, hey, would you be interested in a side bet? He sent back a 2-word answer. The second word was yes. The first word is a word that he uses frequently when he's enthusiastic about something. I'm sure you're familiar with what that word is.
Yes, I believe it begins with an F.
So we are going to have a discussion at the PRI show and determine exactly what that side bet is going to be. But that is real, honest to goodness breaking news. Wild West Engineering and Elite Motorsports putting something on the line here for a big college bowl game.
The CUDA. Bet the CUDA, bet it all. Don't do it.
What's he going to put up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. They got a bunch of cars over there, so you don't want to get into it with a bunch of car dealers.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be announced also. I'm driving the second Mountain Motor Pro Stock car.
No, you're not. That I know. That I know. I've got. Listen, I don't know who it is, and Stan's in the chat section, right? He's always there. We love Stan, but the Jeg full time, right? There's one that we kind of saw it coming in a Skag car. So let me just go off the top of your head. When was the last time Jeg raced a full-time car that wasn't sponsored by Jegs?
Never.
Right? Never. That's a big story right there. And I understand why, but it's still going to be very interesting. So the Natural is back. Bo Butner moving over to Mountain Motor Pro Stock with a driver to be. You're right. But I have someone in mind that I would much rather see drive that car than you, because you got
rather see somebody other than me.
Yeah, you're going to be in the top fielder for John Force. Like, how many cars can you drive?
All of them.
No. See, I believe in, spreading the love around. Spread the love, Alan. Yeah. So I don't know who would be good, but I got my personal, who knows what they're going to announce? Who knows? But a certain blonde stock eliminator racer, I think, would be the perfect candidate for that opportunity. We'll see how it all works out, but that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I guess. Are they planning to announce that this weekend? And I'm being serious. I don't know that. I know that
who the driver is
was forthcoming, but is that on the schedule for this weekend? Do we know that?
I don't think it's on the schedule. Like a predetermined announcement will be made at the PRI trade show for the Mountain Motor Pro Stock team. I don't know, but I can reach out to Bo, as can you, and we can get to the bottom of this. Sure. But right, this is the calm before the storm. I've got a list of 10 things on my sheet here, but Joe
They're
Maynard.
All me. They're all me.
You're going to drive for Joe, the big announcement for Joe and Kathy Maynard Racing?
Yep. That's me too.
You're too big, Alan.
What do you mean too big? Doug Herbert got in a top fuel car.
No, that's in the prehistoric era. Like, you got to be light now. You got to be light. You got to be small. You got to be like.
Matt Hagan weighs more than I do, and he's doing all right.
You got to be like me. That's really what.
No, Matt Hagan weighs more than I do, and he's doing all right.
Does he?
Yeah.
Have you stepped on the scale versus Matt Hagan?
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime.
All right.
I'm certainly not saying I'm in better shape than he is. I'm just saying, like, if we both get on a teeter-totter, he's going to be the one sitting on the ground.
We don't need you to tell us that. That's obvious. Oh, man. All right. So the many stories. Tony Stewart's got a big announcement coming out. They're going to announce that tomorrow at their headquarters, which is interesting. And then I guess we'll be talking about it. Like, what could that be? We can speculate, but I don't know. I'm not into the speculation, Alan, because 99% of it is wrong. The Joe Maynard thing, I have a pretty good idea what that is, and I'm excited about it. So let me just roll this into one question, which is the state of news and information revolving around NHRA drag racing, like the pace with which these announcements are being made and the quality of the announcements, like adding teams, full-time teams, people buying cars. This has got to be one of the most furious and frenzied silly seasons that I can remember. But what about you?
Well, it's sure off to a hot start. There's a lot of years when we don't start getting, the news falling out of the sky every 5 or 8 minutes until the middle of December, or early January, and we're getting a little bit earlier this year. But no, there's a lot going on. I mean, I think when you look, start right at the top. Okay, Mission Foods getting involved, Camping World staying involved. So that's good news right at the top. And anytime a company the caliber of Mission Foods, we saw exactly the same thing when Camping World came over for the first time. When it's announced, right, Camping World is making a big investment in NHRA. A lot of people go, NHRA? Maybe I should take a look at that. Maybe I should see what the buzz is all about, because Marcus Lemonis doesn't make a lot of bad business decisions. And so if he's making that move, then maybe that's something to be looked at. Mission Foods has a completely different reach. There are a lot of people that are very, very familiar with Mission Foods that maybe aren't familiar with Camping World, right? There's certainly a lot more people that eat Mexican food, I think, than go camping on the weekends. And if they're going, Mission Foods is making a big investment in NHRA, maybe I need to take a look at NHRA. At least let's see what this is all about. And it's, the more eyeballs, the better. The more clicks, the better. The more traffic, the better. It's, any salesperson will tell you, if you can get 100 people to walk through your showroom, you're going to get a few of them to buy. And if you got 4 people walking through, maybe you can get all 4 to buy. But if you can get 100 people to take a walk through your showroom, you're going to get people to buy. You're going to get people to see things, to understand things, to come across things that they weren't familiar with or didn't know about. And so this is, again, a lot of new eyeballs that are looking at NHRA. And I think that has to do with a lot of these deals, right? If Joe and I have been talking for years, right? It's like, hey, WFO, you need to get involved with Reinhart Motorsports. You need to get involved. You need to get involved with this. You're like, well, I don't know. I'm, yeah, maybe I'm kind of, and then something happens like the Mission Foods announcement coming up, like all of the other news that's coming out, the new racetrack being built in Kansas City. I mean, yes, there's some of them that have been closed over the past few years, and we've all documented that, but this is a new one being built. Chicago, coming back from the mothballs. That's a big deal. And
Huge.
That's the kind of thing that would get somebody like Joe to go, maybe it's time to pull the trigger. Even if I'm not going to go full tilt, all out, okay, I'm going to have my own 8-car team, but maybe it's time to really get involved in this and see what it can do for me, what it can do for my business. And this is the time of year that you make those announcements.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see how it all is coming together. Jacob McNeil, you remember Jacob made his debut last year with Scott Palmer. I just got off the phone with him. He's going to be on the NHRA stage. And again, to the audience out there, there are people that they plan this big moment on the NHRA stage to announce to the world at PRI things are going down. And so I wouldn't want someone to step on my big announcement. And so I'm not going to step on anybody else's big announcement, but Jacob McNeil has got a schedule going on next year. He has purchased his own operation. They're going to do at least 10 races. He told me that, but the details will be on the NHRA stage, which is super cool. Just one of the 41 different people who made an attempt at Top Fuel last year. And Pete Richards from NHRA on Fox just sent out his end of season stats list, and that number kind of blew me away. We are always fighting against the negative people, right? Whatever the percentage is it 2% or is it 5%? But they're pretty loud. They're always going, and they never yield. 41 different people made an attempt to qualify in 2023, and 39 actually qualified for a race. I think that's a huge stat.
I think so as well. And, what needs to be done now is to get some of those 10 race or 12 race people to commit to the full season. Hopefully, again, with all the new eyeballs that are on the sport, all the new people that are taking a look at us, hopefully there can be some financial upside for some of the racers that are out there that don't need a full tilt deal. They just need the help to get them over the hump or get them to the rest of it, so that we can continue on to have, one of the most fun moments of the year for me had absolutely nothing to do with a Sunday race day. It was final qualifying. I mean, remember Dallas funny car final qualifying?
Yes.
You're in, you're out. Oh, look who's out now. Oh, look who just bumped up to 14th. Is 14th safe? Okay. Well, all of a sudden 14th is 15th. Look who's back in. Look who went up to number 9. That's going to be safe. Now look who's 16. Are they going to be able to? That stuff is fun. It's fun for me. I know it's aggravating and nerve-wracking if you're the crew chief or if you're the driver that's down there trying to figure out whether or not you're going to be racing. But I also think that really adds to the level for the fans to come out and see the drama and see what's happening, right? Especially when you end up with big name guys, which we had in Dallas. I mean, some household names that weren't sure they were going to be there to race on Sunday. That just adds so much to the program. If we have 15 cars or we have 16 cars and everybody goes into test mode, I completely understand that. If I'm a racer, that's what I'm doing too. But when you have to go out there and fight for it, it's just such a better program for the fans. It makes for better TV. It makes for better stories coming out of the race. And we need to have, it would be great to have 15, 16, 14 full-time touring cars and then have the field of 6 or 8, the TJ Zezos, the Kyle Wurzels, the guys who have good cars, good equipment that are going to come out, that are going to make a splash when they show up, the Scott Palmers, that when they all show up, now it's like, okay, we're actually starting to race Friday afternoon. We're not just wasting time until Sunday morning. We're starting to race Friday afternoon. And that's what we need. We need folks like Jacob to come out and run. If he could put together 10 races, great. If he had a little success on the racetrack, and then maybe that 10 turns into 12 or turns into 14. And I'm in the same position you are, and I'm sure most of the people that watch this, you're a hardcore fan enough to realize that if you're an insider, then you find out a lot of information before it's public. But here's the deal. right? As soon as I say, okay, well, here's the deal, right? Jacob McNeil's deal, WFO Radio, full tilt. That's going to be the announcement. That's going to, you can tune in and get it officially on Friday, but that's the announcement. You know, when's the next time somebody's going to let me in on that information?
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
exactly.
You know, the people that are in the industry, you know, you have people that you have confidence in that you can say, hey, look, you know, here's what's coming. Or, you know, people say, hey, I need your input on this. I'm thinking about doing maybe this or maybe this. What do you think from, you know, a media standpoint, from a whatever standpoint, what's going to be the best for me? And you can't betray that trust. So, you know, there's a number of times when it's like, okay, there's going to be a big announcement on Friday. All right, great. I could tell you what it is, but that'd be the last time ever that somebody reached out to me and said, you know, hey, I want to let you know this, or I want to get your input on this, or I want you to be involved in this. And that's a big part. A big part of my job is that people talk to me, and then I'm welcome to walk into people's trailers. And I can get that information that makes me better at my job. So I'm certainly not going to do anything that's going to bust up that information pipeline.
All right. So I got a bunch of stuff I want to speak with you, but we've got some guests.
It's me. It's always
Reinhart. Well, we'll see who's going to ride Flyin Ryan Oehler's motorcycle in 2024. Is it Reinhart? Ryan?
This just in. Drag Illustrated party sold out, and Flyin Ryan's buying shots for everybody. El Bandito will be in the house. This PRI show, it's going to be an absolute splash.
Okay, so Alan, for the past X amount of weeks, Ryan is like, I want to come on WFO. I want to promote El Bandito. We're going to be at the Drag Illustrated party. We're giving everybody shots. And me, like, you know, being not really that great at my job, I was unable to make it all happen. So this is like the make good on the deal for Flyin Ryan. He gets to come on and just go crazy promoting for everybody going to the Drag Illustrated party. Are you drinking shots of tequila right now, Ryan?
It's sealed. It's sealed. I feel like I should be drinking, though. I started my day here at AirTech at 3:40 this morning, and my wife immediately was unhappy because I guess my dogs then thought that the alarm clock was, you know, off by 2 hours. So then they were up at 4:30 in the morning, and then, you know, and then it was, you know, the things you do. These are the things that you got to do. We know we're going to be gone for a few days at the PRI show. I'm also taking a family vacation, which anytime that you back up, you know, being gone from work immediately to leaving on a family vacation, you're just asking for trouble. So,
big trouble.
I tried to get ahead of the game. I've been working really hard to get caught up just from the end of the race season and everything. And it's impossible. So I just learned to roll with it and make the most out of everything. But we're excited. This show is already turning out to have a lot of power behind it. We see the weather is going to be very cooperative, which if anybody's been to PRI show in the past and known that they've stood outside in the lines to go to the extracurricular activities outside the show, that it's never good to freeze your butt off. And this year we're talking, it's going to be like 57 degrees here. So I assume it's going to be pretty close to that in Indianapolis.
Oh, I'm so disappointed, Alan. I was really hoping for some really cold and biting, freezing weather. All right. This is a fast moving show. Flyin Ryan, give the audience the deets on what's going on with El Bandito and what you're doing. And then Reinhart and I are going to hit you with a couple of questions each on whether or not, you know, you're going to get up into the, you know, the top tier of performance in 2024. But okay, what we got going on here?
Well, first, we're going to obviously be at the PRI show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We got a lot of things happening at the show. We're doing a big Burromax giveaway. So sponsors include El Bandito, Burromax, Worldwide Bearing, Drag Illustrated, Smith Systems. Everybody's got together to give away a Burromax that's custom wrapped. You're going to be able to register at the show for it, as well as we've got like a Yeti cooler that's wrapped El Bandito and some other prize packages. So that's happening. And then Thursday night, the historic Drag Illustrated after party at Club Envy. We are sponsoring that. We're going to have shots of tequila and sampling going on from 8 to 10. And we're really looking forward to that. That's sold. You know, I heard last night from Wes that that's a sold out show, and that now everybody's going to be trying to just figure out a way to sneak in the fire exits, you know. But then we head to the Wild Beaver, which is another local establishment there. Big race fan enthusiast bar. we'll be there on Friday night doing the same thing, shot sampling and margarita samples from 9 to 11. So that is it in a nutshell as far as how much stuff can you cram into one show. I definitely think I've got a tall order to fill. So drinking responsibly and being alert and active each morning is the goal.
Well, last year, and I'll share this with Alan now, it's a 1 year, the statute of limitations has definitely expired, but we were in one of the hallways last year, Ryan, you and Scott, and you guys were coming my way and I was going that way, and we were like in PRI mode, but not so much that we couldn't have a shot of El Bandito right there on the spot. And that was what it was all about. Like, to me, that's PRI. Like, I'm going to handle a lot of business in this business that I love because it's fun, because every once in a while, someone's just going to give you a shot.
Yeah, we have an informal, unsanctioned tasting event where all the motorcycle degenerates gather, which would be, all of us motorcycle racers. We consider ourselves down here, on the totem pole, but we meet at booth 111, Worldwide Bearings booth, and we have some unofficial sampling event every night after the show is ended. You just happen to catch it in passing, and we're definitely one to go, 007 on the light to say, yeah, bust out a shot glass. So
there you go. Nicole Clark says she loves wild beaver. That's great.
There's a lot of innuendos in those business conversations when you're on the phone with those owners,
All right, Alan.
Really, question. Like what? I can't possibly imagine what that would be all about.
Yeah. Question for Ryan.
Ryan, let's talk about your program. Last year, you took some time off. You wanted to go back and kind of where are you now from a performance standpoint? I know obviously it's a couple of months before you're ready to go out there and actually hit it, but where are you now from a performance standpoint?
Well, the program kind of reestablished itself with the Gen 2 engine platform. We found ourselves in a lot better place, but still down a lot on power. Now we've been working since about June to kind of put together a plan to what we're going to do to gain 20 plus horsepower in the off season. That plan has been initiated. We have it's brand new cylinder heads that we're working on, our own cylinder head port design. We've really cracked some eggs that show some potential with cam profile designs. We have our engine dyno test cell fully up and running, and we have a good baseline generated off of some of our top performance motors. Now it's like everybody in this time of the year, we're waiting for certain parts to put together these combinations that need to get on the engine dyno cell, and then we let the horsepower do the talking for itself. So if we can put some numbers on the board in the dyno room, we'll be able to put some numbers on the board at the track. The new bike has been down the track, went A to B, pretty successful, ran 690s on its very first passes, and really showed some serious potential there. It's really cool to have a bike now that we've built for myself. It fits me well. I'm feeling really, comfortable on something that's kind of set up for a taller guy, something I've not been able to experience in this class, which I'm really looking forward to having a brand new piece of equipment, but it still has to prove itself. But I guarantee you put 20 more horse to the ground with that setup, it's going to be a lot faster than what you've seen me here, do in the last year. So we just got to get out on the track, do some serious testing, get through the engine dyno program, actually prove out that, the software that we're using to do the analytics of, these combinations will so produce X amount of power actually happens. Once the power's there, we just got to get it out of it and get it to the ground. So we're excited to actually have something that, we'll be able to talk about and hopefully show everybody that, hey, these guys did know what they were doing. They got behind the 8 ball on a couple different plans that didn't pan out. And now that, look, they reformed themselves and they're back in the top 5, top 8 of competition, and show that, they're edging closer to what, you're going to have to do in this program to compete with the Vance and Hines program. So we're not scared. It just takes time, and you're up against a group of guys that have a lot more resources than we do, and they have more experience. So it's just going to take a lot of hard work to get those kind of numbers that Gage and Eddie were putting down. And I think we can do it. We just got to stay focused. My dad said, leave me alone. It was my dad, just just don't throw anything at me. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to do my job. Just walk away. So I'm giving him all the room he needs. He's way back there, about 250 feet away from me now. And that's all he's been doing since, we started this program, but now I've actually given him some ammo. And now we got to, like I said, see if we can put some numbers on the board.
Wow, very serious answer from Flyin Ryan Oehler right there, but I love it, right? I know you went through, I don't want to call it, you tell me, you characterize it, some dark times this year, struggling to perform. You answered it yourself. Do I belong out here? And at the tail end of the year, you guys really rebounded and came back and proved that the answer is yes, and thus everything you just told us. Yeah,
it's a complicated scenario, and, this is pro. So everybody who complains about the rules and this and that, this is pro racing, and it's not supposed to be easy, and not every time that someone falls down that they're supposed to help you get up with a crane and throw you to the front of the line. You got to dig your way out of these holes. You got to figure out what it is. It's all math. And, on top of that, it is a lot of experience. I give credit to all these people that, have taught me along the way, George Bryce, and, I work with Andrew Hines, and I see how well that they're able to utilize the horsepower. You could have all the horsepower if you want, but for those guys, you watch them go a 102 or a 103 60 foot and still go 205 mile an hour out the back. They've got 98% or more of the total potential of their package going all the way down the track at an optimum performance. And I'd love to be able to say that, everyone says, have you ever had, a perfect run? They're getting pretty dang close to it. No one's going to say that they've had a perfect run, but they're doing a fantastic job. I was happy to say in the middle of the year, we did run in the 670s. We didn't do it in competition, but we did show that, hey, we were headed, out of that hole. And of course, some things still, held us back, different little problems that came up that we didn't ever have in the past. But we got through all of it, and now it's time to really get focused and make it count. When we're out there, we're going to have to make it count.
But first, a weekend of fun at PRI where you're promoting your favorite brand, El Bandito. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ryan. Appreciate you, and we'll see you out there. Give those important information one more time. Like, how do we win the Burromax?
You're going to have to come by our booth. We have registration at Burromax's booth, which is right across the NHRA main stage. You got registration at Worldwide Bearings booth, Smith Systems booth, as well as Drag Illustrated's booth. So we've got 4 different Burromaxes spread out, around the show. You'll see those. You'll see our signs. You can scan a QR code, and bam, that'll take you to our landing page where you can register for the prizes. And then obviously come see us. We're going to have fun. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be trying some El Bandito. You can get in on those secret taste test sessions on the escalator. You never know. And look forward to seeing everybody out there, and appreciate you having me on the show. Thanks, Ryan. No, definitely. And I'll see you out there. Have a great show. And are Reinhart and I eligible to win the Burromax? Of course. Okay. I'm even eligible. I'm gonna sign up,
There it is. Let's win ourselves a Burromax there, Reinhart. All right, Ryan. Thank you very much. See you soon.
All right. See you tomorrow, guys.
Here goes Flyin Ryan Oehler with us here. Yeah, they had a tough year, but they bounced back. And I love hearing like his answer, because he's a jokester, as you know, right? We've all seen the chip pick, which is so poignant now that Mission Foods is on board. Like, some say that the chip pick might be the reason that the whole deal came together. Some are saying that, but to see that they recognize they had a problem, they just went to work and they're working. I'm excited to see their program next year.
Yeah, I am as well. And, when he came out here, he talked about the fact that, he's raced a motorcycle on a lot of different formats and a lot of different arenas, and they've always done their own deal. Can you go buy an engine from somebody, or can you go lease one? Yeah, but that's not the way they do it. And they got a little bit down a rabbit hole and decided they needed to go back home and get it squared away. So I think it's terrific, and I love the motivation, and I especially like when he said, whatever it was a couple of years ago in Vegas, he said, I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to win races. And if people don't like me, I don't care. But I'm here to hurt their feelings, and that's what I want to do. And when he gets back into the mode where he's out there mixing it up with them on a regular basis at the front of the pack, it makes the class more fun when you have those personalities that are out there battling it out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Lenny Lottig is coming up in a second, but I just want to, before he's getting set up, he's going to give us a tour of his Factory X car, Alan. You've been a part of a lot of announcements and a lot of stories over the years. This Factory X deal, people are fired up about it. Like, I think it's captured the imagination of a lot of people. The showdown style engines with the 5-speed manual transmission, with a body that looks just like your Camaro or Mustang, or apparently now Corvette. It's pretty exciting.
It is. It's what Pro Stock started out being. And, nobody loves Pro Stock more than I do, but they have gotten a long way from what was the original idea of the class. Of course, that was 50 years ago. And so now, it's taken a little while to get there. It obviously started with the factory stock showdown, and then they got too fast. So how do we save this, but still keep the cars from getting morphed into pro mod style machines? And it took a while for the rules package and everything to stabilize. But I think Factory X, I love the fact that people sit in the grandstands. And again, I'm not throwing rocks at anybody, especially not Pro Stock, but nobody sits in the grandstands, looks at Fernando Cuadra's Mustang and says, I got a car just like that in the parking lot. But they darn sure sit up there and look at the Factory X cars and go, I got a car just like that in the parking lot.
Yeah. All right, let's bring on Lenny. Lenny, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up. You're about to witness the public debut of Lenny Lottig's brand new Jerry Haas Factory X car. Here we go. What's up, Lenny? How are you?
Oh, doing real good, guys. How about yourselves? We're just here getting ready to head out for the PRI show here this evening.
Okay,
early in the morning.
We're going to see it on the screen. Fans of Factory X, share the show now. And hold your phone sideways, Lenny. Hold it sideways, because there we go. Now tell us what we're looking at here.
Well, this is my 2-year in the waiting Factory X car from Jerry Haas. And like I say, we've been anxiously waiting to be getting it here. And it's finally showed up. And seeing since Greg Stanfield started off the kind of theme with the Rod Shop, and there's some couple other ones in the works of doing a little retro old school, and with Stephen Bell's Bob Glidden's car. And seeing since we're from Pennsylvania, and also with the our crew guys Davey Deeney and Tommy Lane, since they had a pretty long history working with Bill Jenkins, we went and asked the family if they would be okay if we did a little tribute to Bill Jenkins. This is what we're coming out with the debut here at the first NHRA race, because this car isn't even a week old. It showed up here just last Friday, so we literally just got it, and still a few more things to shake down on it, but it'll be soon here ready. We'll be stirring the sticks with it, and we did a little tribute here to the man himself.
Wow.
So
Jenkins Competition returns to the track, Grumpy's Toy, and this is with the full permission and buy-in of the Jenkins family. How did that go?
It went very well. I mean, it seemed like they were appreciative of us of bringing his name back, and because a lot of the younger people these days may not know quite how he was very one of the ones at the beginning to get the Pro Stock theme going. And pretty well as his first Pro Stock car he made. I would say it's very similar to how it would have been almost 50 years ago.
Yeah, the Grump first chassis car.
Yeah, so we kind of tried to carry the little thing his numbers. That's where we did the FX, where I think he may have stopped at 14 or 15. I'd have to look back at it, but it's pretty well. We've been just kind of going over it here. I mean, it's exact factory dimensions. I even have Jesse's showdown car here, because we're just starting the winter maintenance on those cars, and the whole internet people saying about these aren't exactly the factory cars. Well, I mean, here's the stock body on this FX, and then right here would be the stock body on Jesse's showdown car. So it's pretty well identical. And then I just happen to have laying here. Here's the differences of the two of the tires. Here's the 16 10.5W that we have for the FX cars, and here's what we run currently, the 9-inch on the showdown cars. So just a little bit more meat on the ground there.
Reinhart, you got a question for Lenny?
Well, I'm curious, Lenny, are you still planning to campaign the showdown car on a full-time basis as well, or are you going to park that one in favor of this one?
Well, if I have my wishes, we won't be parking anything, but we're waiting. The schedule hasn't come out yet for the FX or for the showdown class. So we're hoping to see how many classes overlap or how many races overlap the two cars. Because I mean, we had a great year this year. I mean, the best year we've ever had, and that definitely went without putting in a ton of extra work at the track. And that car is nothing compared to what these cars are going to be requiring. So we're hoping that we can campaign both, but we're going to focus on the FX as going to be the primary car, and we would like to try to still campaign the showdown. I mean, if we don't campaign them at the same races, we definitely will campaign the showdown car whenever it is not being raced at the same back to back, because the few races that we watch literally run the classes back to back, and Steve and they literally were like running back and forth, and it just doesn't. I mean, I don't know if my fun meter would go that high. And then us, this was all about having the fun, because like I say, when this stops becoming fun, that's when we go into another adventure. But so far, we could not be having as much fun as.
No, it's awesome. It's a beautiful car. So Lenny, where can people see this in the hall at Earl Nichols out there? The Grump Lives. Like, this is capturing people's nostalgia, and they want to see it in person. Of course, WFO giving you a first look, but where can they see it in the hall at PRI?
It's going to be in the hall by the foyer in the hallway where you would walk in, and you'd make the right to go to the main hall, or the left to go to the tunnel to the stadium, because it's going to be in the Mickey Thompson Mickey Thompson experience they do with the Goodyear experience they have with all cars. So they asked if we could bring this car over to and have it displayed there, because like I say, they've done a lot of work and helped us over the past few years, and so we were gladly to oblige them with so it'll be right by right off between the foyer and the hallway, where you'd walk over to where the tunnel goes to the stadium, to where they have the RVs and so forth.
Who's the dog? Oh,
that's Louis. He's he's even part of that's the Louis part of the super crew, because we have he's definitely the vice president of operations. He goes with us everywhere we go. He's at every one of the races. As a matter of fact, there's more people I think know him at the track than know me by far.
Share if you like dogs, folks. Share if you like dogs. Lenny, great job. I really appreciate you giving us a first look at the Grumpy's Toy FX Edition factory experimental machine, and everybody's going to get a shot to see it out there at PRI. That is one sexy looking race car. Like that shot right there, man, that thing looks awesome. And, body in white, not always the most exciting, but this with the black windows, the black tires, the chrome wheels, the Chevy logo, and the Grumpy's Toy, man, that thing is hot. Look at it. You know what, Reinhart? Grumpy's Toy be popping.
Yeah. No, I love it. Hey, Len, two questions. When's the last time you drove a clutch car, and when are you hoping to get that thing on track to start testing it in the real world?
Well, a clutch, I mean, I have lots of everything I have has a clutch, except for my daily driver. But the down the track, this is a whole new adventure with us. Which we did go and get Jerry Haas built simulators that he mocked up essentially as the center section of this cage, and then we worked with getting it has the liberty. Well, actually, Joe looked at it.
Yeah, I was in it. I got a great TikTok that went. Everybody loved that TikTok, by the way. First couple of hits, man, I was ready to go, and it stinks because now driving an automatic doesn't sound nearly as fun.
Right, and we're hoping to be testing here. I would say by the middle of January we should be testing. We got this year here. We teamed up with Richard Freeman, the elite team. They're going to be doing the power plants for the FX car this year. So,
oh, wow.
We got some resources there to help us out with. And they're also hopefully getting some driving lessons from all of those people there. I mean, they've kind of been welcome us in there pretty open arms. So it's been a great experience getting to meet people there. And so we're hoping here by middle of January to be some passes on. I mean, Aaron Staples this summer told me after 50 passes in the car, I should start feeling a little more comfortable. So I'm thinking if he told me 50, I'm shooting for 75 because, sometimes I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. So we'll go. So my goal is to have at least 75 passes under our belt before we get to Gainesville or whichever. I mean, tentatively Gainesville is going to be the first race of the season. So that's what we're shooting for. And Jesse's car should be, hopefully we'll be bringing his car home here within the next 2 weeks. I mean, we just talked to them this morning and it sounded like possibly in 2 weeks we could have his car home. So idea is when we pack up to head south to go test, and we're putting 2 of them in that way we can get twice the data. So
excellent.
So
well, Lenny, great job. Appreciate you giving us the debut, the worldwide debut of the Grumpy's Toy FX edition, and we'll all get a chance to see it at PRI. Get on the road now. You got to get out there. You got a couple of hours. You got to make it there, and we'll see you there.
All righty. Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
There he is, Lenny Lottig, with us here on
We'll see you tomorrow.
WFO Radio. And thanks, Lenny. There he goes. The internet was getting a little sketch, and so I wanted to call it a win with that interview. How about Grumpy's Toy FX edition there, Alan?
I like it. I like it a lot. I think that they really captured the essence of the old Grumpy's Toy cars. I think that's cool, and look forward to seeing it on the racetrack. You see this car right here, Joe?
Yes.
Clutch car.
Yes.
Car. You should have. Everybody should have at least one clutch car.
I have 2.
You still have a Cadillac?
I do. Cadillac CTS-V and a 1998 Pontiac Firebird with 5-speed manual as well. I do not own an automatic car except for the race car, but that's going to have an FTI Power Glide, so it's not even really what we're talking about. No, there's nothing like driving a manual. I didn't learn how to drive a clutch until I was in my 30s, and I just felt like that was such a terrible personal stat as like a car guy. I had all these opportunities. It was, but like, that's the thing is I rectified the bad stat. Like when you got a bad stat, you've got to fix it. And so I went out and got the Caddy, and now I'm all trained up as best as I could be. Like I take it serious, like my clutch driving, and I love it. And what do they call it? An anti-millennial theft device or something?
Yep. And it's millennial anti-theft device. No doubt about it.
What do I do with that? The good news is my little nephew, who is 13, he's like, Uncle Joe, are you going to teach me how to drive stick? And I was like, yes, when you're ready. Not on my car, someone else's.
You need to find like an old Falcon or old Duster or an old something like that's got a 3 on the tree and teach them how to drive that.
Oh my gosh. Like that. I haven't done that. Like 3 on the tree. I'm sure it's not as horrible as I think it is, but it doesn't sound that. My dad tells stories about, racing with a column shifter and that it was not fun.
It's just different.
Yeah, exactly. How about that? Lenny Lottig with the FX car on WFO Radio. We're getting debuts. All right. So I want to switch gears a little bit on you and talk about the NASCAR $1.1 billion television deal. This has got my toes tingling. I'm very excited about the sport of NHRA drag racing as a fraction of that. What's the fraction, right? I don't know what it is. There was a time in the 1980s that I believe that drag racing was bigger and more well-known and respected than NASCAR. NASCAR, of course, got its big 1990s and early 2000s pop and has continued to grow. Many believe that the NASCAR ratings were going lower and NASCAR is a problem. And you don't have to go very far to find someone that'll tell you, oh, NASCAR is not. Well, they increased their overall media rights take by 40%. And it's like a $7.7 billion deal for 7 years, 1.1 a year over like 4 networks, including Prime Streaming, TNT, NBC, and Fox. Yes, they've got a lot of content put out there, but NHRA as a fraction, a percentage of that, that tells me that our product is worth something significant, especially compared to what's going on right now. What was your opinion on the NASCAR media rights deal and what it means for NHRA Mission Foods drag racing?
Well, to tell you the truth, I was surprised when they announced the number. I didn't expect it to be that big. There were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, it's only going to be half what it was," and that certainly wasn't true. But I was a little bit surprised that it took the bump as big as it did. And God bless them. There's obviously a lot of eyeballs that are watching over there. I have a lot of friends that make a living on that side of the fence. I also think that it'll be interesting to see how well received the streaming stuff is. I think that the NASCAR fans, I think the NASCAR has a lot of fans, kind of like we have a lot of fans, that streaming probably isn't on their radar. But I also think that once they realize this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to work, that it's not something to be scared of, right? I mean, if a year ago, if somebody would have told me, that's on streaming, I'd have gone, guess I'll never see that again. But I figured out how to watch Thursday night football.
Now that you got a 95-inch television, that's the most modern thing in the world, and it does everything, including like rub your back and give you a massage. Now you're Mr. Stream. It makes perfect sense.
But I just think that there's a lot of things out there for us, and motorsports in general. The classic rising tide that lifts all boats, right? I think NASCAR obviously is the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to North American motorsports. And they see, the networks see, and the streaming partners and everybody sees the value there. There comes a time when I guarantee you there's people out there that are looking at NASCAR going, that's a little out of my budget, but I still want to be involved in motorsports. Where can we go to get motorsports for our platform or for our family of networks? And I know that the Fox people have been very happy with what we've been able to provide as far as numbers, as far as viewership, and hopefully we can continue to make that grow. I think that there's a lot of possibilities out there. I think there's a lot of extra things that we could be doing on the NHRA side, just creating more content, putting more stuff out there, putting more, and having, getting the platforms to put it on. So I think it's a great sign, and hopefully it'll be a positive for us when NHRA sits down at the table with the Fox the next time and says, okay, how can we grow the program that we've got now? And what's that going to look like, a year in the future, 3 years in the future, 5 years in the future? How are we going to make this all happen?
Yeah, Stan is out there. And Stan, I love Stan because Stan it just generally presents the slightly negative take, which is totally okay. But doesn't NHRA pay? That hasn't been the case for a long, long time, Stan. Like, it hasn't been the case for a long, long time. I believe that was the deal with the folks at ESPN, the worldwide leader back then, but not since the Fox deal. The Fox deal has been a different situation where NHRA does their own production, and Fox and NHRA are, I don't want to overstate it, but like equal partners with both a stake in the deal, and Fox provides the broadcast window and NHRA provides the content, and they, split revenue, something like that. So no, Stan, no, the thing you've thought for so long is totally incorrect. And hopefully the next time there is some sort of a rights deal. I mean, if NASCAR's worth $1.1 billion, I think that NHRA is worth $0.1 billion. Just, that's hillbilly math for you.
Yeah, that's definitely, I just think there's a lot of possibilities out there. And, what NASCAR dealing with now with all of the charter teams and all of the stuff are going to be coming back to the table going, okay, let's now renegotiate how this is going to be split up. I would love, love, love to see that same thing happen over on our side of the fence. If we got to the point where you're making, and it doesn't matter what the number is, right? If you've got $1,000 worth of revenue coming in, how's that going to get split up? Between the tracks, between the teams, between the different partners that make all this happen. That's a conversation I would love to see have to take place, and we're getting closer to it. We're certainly in better position now than we were with our days on ESPN. I think that Fox is much more committed to us than the ESPN folks were, especially at the last year or two, coming down to the end of that contract. I think there's a lot of room for growth there, and I think there's a lot of people that are, very excited about the future of NHRA and what we can provide and what we can put out there. So let's just keep moving forward and see what comes up next.
Yeah, no, we're in a time where so many positive things are happening for, honestly, in drag racing in particular, but even beyond, with the technology and the possibility of what can be done and what people might be interested in. Just a note I wanted to mention on the streaming, Formula One's worldwide popularity, but especially in the United States, is mostly due to a streaming show, which is Drive to Survive. And a lot of people would think like, well, did the Formula One fans, and in context of, there are people who have cut the cord and made a decision to get Prime Video. And so now that's how they get whatever's on Prime is what they watch. Like, that's their deal. And so the folks at Prime Video are bringing on properties for the people who are already subscribers. And that's what happened with Netflix. You had all these people with their Netflix account. I was not one of them, but they were stuck at home watching their Netflix, and this new show popped up, Drive to Survive. They don't like Formula One. They don't care for Formula One. They don't know what it is even, but they'll watch the show because they already paid for it. This is on my service, and this is the service that I have. Let's see what it is. And by the, thousands, people adopted the show, and they have become Formula One fans because of the show, not because they weren't already fans that went to Netflix. It worked in reverse. And so I think there needs to be a little credence given to that concept that, you spin off something for a large audience, whether it be on Prime Video or Netflix or any one of these services. And then the people who have the service, they find it. And they're like, wow, this is great. I didn't realize that this even existed. And they might have never, other than the fact that they live in the bubble of that service because that's what they pay. I just think this whole streaming universe is totally different and maybe needs to be thought of differently when we're talking about acquiring new fans.
Well, I think that's true, but I also think the reality TV side of it, I think Driving Force, when they were putting that show together, got a lot of new eyeballs and a lot of new interest, and people that didn't know a whole lot about drag racing, but they looked at this, love you folks, dysfunctional family that was trying to make their living out here, driving cars that go over 300 miles an hour. And that got some new eyeballs to come out and take a look at, okay, what is this show really like? Whether we watch the drag racing shows on TV or whether we're going to come to the event when the event comes to into our neighborhood. But I think that there's a lot there as far as reaching out to, you can preach to the choir until the end of time. But you need to reach out to people that aren't familiar with what we're doing, that don't know what drag racing is. It's like, I've told people for years and years and years, I haven't been to drag racing 25 years. Well, you need to come see it again because it ain't the same. It's not what it was 25 years ago. It's not what it was 50 years ago. There are a lot of folks online that still, they're just recently was the anniversary of the last drag race at Lions. And one of the chat rooms that I, pay attention to a little bit, had a guy come on there and go, man, that's still, the best racetrack ever, never been anything, never anything close. And it's like, guys, I understand that you love Lions. That was 50 years ago. It ain't coming back. So if you love drag racing, let's figure out what you love about it now. And, I'm not the most nostalgic guy in the world. I mean, I have very fond memories of Tucson Dragway, which is where I got started. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to start doing that over again. And I think, a lot of times you end up with kind of a rose-colored rear view mirror. For everybody, it's like, oh man, it was so much better back in the day. It's like, really? It was so much better when a guy blew up and then for the next 4 hours, nobody could get down the left lane. Well, not that part, and it's like, but that was what you were talking about. I mean, that's what you had, and nobody wants to go back to that. Right? I mean,
that's not what it's about though. Like that, the real thing is it's all internal. Everybody remembers the best of the best from the time they were 13 to the time they were 30, maybe even less. And that was it. Whatever was happening when you were in the prime of your life, nobody is thinking about like their own personal decline and the slow walk to the grave. Nothing good can be happening while that's happening. It had to be when I was young and strong and women liked me and I had a full head of hair and I was 18 and I was out there and I was doing my thing. And coincidentally, those two things were happening at the same time, like the golden era of their drag racing mind and the golden era of their personal lives. And that's the whole thing of nostalgia.
That's my nod to nostalgia right there. I bought that car when I was 17 years old. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. No way, no how do I want to go back to what that car was when I was 18 versus my Mercedes SL that I drive every day now. No way, no how, no chance. Love the Mustang. It's a fun car to drive. It's great to take out on cruise night or to take to Freddy's when it's ice cream night or to do whatever. Love the thing. I do not want that to go back and be my everyday transportation like it used to be. I don't want to go back and drive my 70s vintage Ford pickup when I've got to go move something or I've got to tow a trailer. I love the Dodge Ram diesel that I have now, which, you know, you could take 3 of my old Ford trucks, chain them together, and this Dodge will pull them all backwards. Not only that, it's more comfortable. It gets better mileage. It's got a better stereo in it. You know, when you look back at nostalgia, I think you got to look at all of it. And again, I love Tucson Dragway. When I was a kid, it was a big part of my universe. But I don't want to go back now to have a racetrack like that has 0 amenities. Nothing.
Yeah, you gotta have
it was
amenities.
a strip of asphalt in the middle of the desert that didn't have scoreboards, that had handwritten time slips, didn't have 60-foot times, didn't have 3:30 time, nothing. And again, you know, somebody blew up. You might as well forget about the left lane for the next 4 hours, because cleanup was 2 guys in the back of a pickup with a bag of rice hull ash or, you know, grease sweep. And they drive up and down the track twice, and then they'd come back at about 40 miles an hour with brooms on the ground. And it's like, okay, fire the next pair. Let's go racing. But, you know, you couldn't get a 14-second car down that lane for the next hour and a half. I don't want to go back to that. I think I'd rather stick with what we've got here today.
All right. So I just checked in for my flight. Like, just got the check-in reminder, and I just checked in. But get this, Alan. This just came out on Twitter. And, you know, I like Jason Logan always says that I paint with hyperbole. Right. I always try to like build up the thing to be as big as is possible. But NHRA social media account, NHRA on Twitter, which, by the way, Attention in the Pits with Mike Cotton's best appearing winning CUDA is up. And hopefully everybody will share it at like gangbusters. Like, share that thing like crazy. The YouTube
Holy crap, is that a nice car?
Amazing. Like, I'm looking at this
I saw
thing
it sitting in his shop before they had the engine in it. Man, is that a nice car?
Wow.
I pray that someday the one sitting back here is like a quarter of that nice.
Yeah. You should shoot for that. Like, that's the bar. That is one of the nicest cars ever. But don't miss one of the biggest, in all caps, announcements in NHRA history. One of the biggest announcements in NHRA history. You're not really getting a good look at that. Yeah, look at that. Amazing. What the heck has to be the announcement for them to say one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history? Tune in Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Watch live PRI Trade Show on YouTube. One of the biggest announcements. All right, Reinhart, what are you doing? What is this?
It's me.
Yeah.
I'm taking over everything.
But more specifically, though, go ahead, make this, sully this. Let's hear how you're involved.
I've been working at this for a while, and finally, the announcement is going to be that I will be the ultimate czar of all things drag racing. I get to make all the rules. I get to make all the decisions. It's all me.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, I believe that.
You got to admit that would be big.
That would be scary, is what that would be. People just got frightened. I feel good about my position in this new post NHRA Reinhart as Vladimir Putin world. But what would be your first act?
Well,
raise the announcer pay. Stuff like that. Right? Pay the announcer guys. Fire the announcer guys. What?
Raise the announcer pay. That would be my first act. Good call.
Good call. I can use that as a reference. No, everybody wants to know what the effing announcement is. Like, look at these guys. Like, just using profanity in the chat, sir, isn't going to help you get the answer any quicker. You don't drop the F-bomb and then all of a sudden, this guy used the F word. We'll see. We'll see. The big one of, not the biggest, one of the biggest, in all caps, announcements in NHRA history at 9 a.m. at the NHRA stage. Wow.
I know where I'm going to be.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Total Seal booth 1525. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to have my big foam finger, number 1, and be ready for this big announcement. And if that doesn't get your toes tingling, I don't know what was. Final thought, Alan Reinhart. Final thought. What do you got?
Just looking forward to getting to the PRI show. Whatever it's been now. What's it been? 10 days at home, something like that. That's just too much. time to go out and do something. But I've got a little hit list of folks that I need to see and things that I need to get taken care of at the PRI show. So I'm looking forward to getting on the plane bright and early tomorrow and headed out there. Staying downtown. So hopefully, even though, Ryan Oehler says the weather's going to be nice, well, he lives in Chicago. So his idea of nice weather and mine might not be exactly the same thing.
Right.
But I am in a position where I don't believe I have to go outside for 4 days if I don't want to. So looking forward to it.
Okay. Great job. Great job. I will see you there. I'm heading out tomorrow as well. And we'll get on the PRI train and bring it home. Is it the end?
One other thing, just real quick, I get, a couple of dribble in questions from time to time and things, but even though we're not racing, during the winter break, I do still monitor my announcer at NHRA.com email on a pretty regular basis. So if something's happening or something you want to know or something you're interested in, you can shoot me a note, announcer at NHRA.com, and I will see if I can find you an answer.
There it is. Definitely. No shout outs though, even in the off season.
Nope.
There it is. All right, Alan. I'll see you over there. Thank you very much.
Travel safe. I'll probably see you tomorrow night.
There he goes. Alan Reinhart with us here on WFO, the new czar of NHRA drag racing. That's a joke, guys. No articles. No articles. All right. Biggest announcement. One of the biggest announcements in NHRA history. Let me make sure I'm not taking that out of context because I'm known to do that. Let's see. Don't miss one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history. Tune in Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Watch live from the PRI Trade Show on YouTube, Facebook, and NHRA.com. That gets a big retweet from me. Repost on Twitter, WFO Joe. Hopefully everybody follows me. If you're not following me, what's the point of all of this? That's exciting. What could it be? In the context of all the other great announcements that we've got going. You've got something tomorrow at Tony Stewart. You got Joe Maynard has got something huge going on, which I have an inkling of what that is, and that's going to be very popular. You've got, I know Buddy Hull's got something coming. Jacob McNeil's got something coming. You've got all over the spectrum, right? Like big announcements for the series and the teams and big announcements for little guys getting in. And this is the stat that I wanted to share. How about you guys? Let's, because I want to tell you about the people who make it possible. And when I do that, I always ask you for your comments, your final comments. And I'm going to do that now. Put your comments in the chat section right now. But wrong answers only. What is the biggest announcement that we're going to hear Thursday morning at 9 a.m.? What is wrong answers only? That's like a social media thing that people do. Wrong answers only. Please make them fun and not horrible. And Slug, I'm just kidding with you, man. You type in the F, yeah. I'm just gonna have a little velvet glove fun. Hey, what's up with that? Damn, Joe, you didn't have to do me like that. No, but it's all in good fun. Don't take it serious. Yeah, we're gonna be at Pomona. Gator Nationals, and all kinds of interesting stuff coming down the pike. Loans on his podcast last week. He's going to have a new one this week. He ran down all the different stuff that has been going on. For instance, last week we reported that John Medlin and Jason Bunker were going from Paul Lee to Cruz. But now that has been amended, and Paul Lee is keeping John Medlin, as I understand, and partnering him with Johnny Lindbergh. And so I think that is a pretty interesting little story that's going back and forth. And a lot of people ask questions about Johnny Lindbergh tuning a nitro car. I do not doubt Johnny Lindbergh can do anything. And I think it's an intriguing and interesting pickup. Thinking outside the box a little bit. You got Medlin, who is the career guy, the veteran, and then you got Johnny Lindbergh, who anything he's touched has turned, very positive generally on the racetrack. So that's pretty cool. There was question mark by Loans around Max Savage and Kurt Elliott. Ronnie Thompson, according to Loans, has gone over to Josh Hart's team with Ron Douglas. According to Loans, Jason McCullough is going to Capco. The Joe Maynard and TSR announcements we find out on Thursday. No need to go there. Let's just patiently wait. Doug Cook is going with Doug Foley. Nikki Bonafonte has left Dell and Alexis to go with Clay and Jimmo. Jacob McNeil has got a 10-race deal. He bought his own car. He bought his car. He's got his own operation and crew chief all set up. It's all exciting. Wrong answers only. What is the biggest announcement that we're going to get? And now let me tell you about Frank Hawley's drag racing school. Frank and Lana Hawley, they've got a school called the Dragster Adventure. If you want to get your Super Comp license, that's not what this is. This is just a day of fun for you and your boys, or you and your crew, you sales guys, your best clients. And it makes a great Christmas gift. It's called the Dragster Adventure. Go to frankhawley.com. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. And get this. They can even set up a race. And they travel all around the country. That's why it's a great gift, because you can give your friend a certificate and then they work it out with Frank. Where is the school going to be at the right time for them to go and enjoy? frankhawley.com, one of our longest, oldest, most consistent sponsors ever, and we really appreciate them. And it's all about driving a dragster. Show up with clothes on your back and leave with the experience of a lifetime. Amazing. Marvin Rodak. The Rodak's holiday packs, a pound of coffee, a bottle of hot sauce, and a container of spice rub. To me, it's the best thing, and I get it from my clients and good friends every year. And they all love it. They love it. They always love it because it's a great experience. I recommend the Stampede of Speed blend or the WFO Radio blend. They have an amazing aroma. 817-924-6821. Call Marvin. Tell him you heard about it on WFO and get yourself some holiday packs to give to your friends. Just, order 10 of them and hand them out. And people will love it. Like, what is this? Especially if they love coffee, clearly. And then there's samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. They will be there at the PRI trade show. Brian Massigill, this is like our once-a-year catch-up that Brian and I get to have. And if you want to become a machinist, CNC programmer, EFI tuner, they're approved to train veterans under the GI Bill. Reach out to samtech.edu. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. And the rest of our sponsors, Total Seal, FTI, the folks at Foggett, an Amazon Choice product now. That shows you how fast they're growing. Bernie Speed Shop and Phillips Connect. Really appreciate them. And we are opening our window for new potential sponsors in 2024. We only do this once a year, and we have limited spaces available. And so if you would like to become part of the WFO universe, email me, joe@wforadio.com. And of course, I handle a lot of that stuff at PRI. Everybody's asking about Project Pontiac, and Project Pontiac is going well. The folks at Edelbrock have jumped on board with Project Pontiac. We got a set of Ram Air Force style round poured cylinder heads at John Gateosh's getting ported, and Project Pontiac, where we take an old bracket car and convert it and polish it up and make it NHRA Super Street worthy. And this, track announcer is going to jump behind the wheel and try to make his way at the NHRA divisional level, showcasing to the world how either easy or difficult it may be. And the folks at Foggett and Edelbrock and Total Seal and many others that I will be telling you about are all on board helping out with Project Pontiac. I want to mention, Hear It From Heiner has not gone away. The Patreons are getting special shows during the offseason. And if you would like to join our VIP listener family, I just dropped the link in the chat section. Yes, it costs you a monthly that you choose. And if you sign up for a year, I send you a t-shirt and everybody gets stickers and you get access to the Ignition Show, Monday Motivation. And during the winter break, I'm going to try to be very creative with our Patreon VIP listeners. So I would definitely sign up right now and get on board and get an entire off season of stuff. All right, I've stalled for you folks long enough. Let's see what you think the big announcement is going to be. All right, so Earl Nichols, I'll pick it up right here. My commentary about people and nostalgia is true because I see it happening with myself. The music, the movie quotes, they all kind of come from a certain era, and we all should really try to fight against that. Just because you got dropped on the earth on a certain date doesn't mean that 10 years after that date was the best time in Earth's history. That's very selfish and self-focused. There's great stuff happening at all times. And most importantly, the kids that are 13 right now, when they're 50, they're going to be looking at right now as their golden era of nostalgia. So don't crap on it. Don't do that to them. There was nobody doing that to you, I don't think. So don't do that to them. Appreciate that every moment is great in the United States of America, and that we are all so fortunate. Some would say blessed. Some would say lucky. Some would say fortunate. I don't need to put a label on it. We are here and we are enjoying amazing prosperity right now. And everybody is confused. The pandemic got everybody a little scared and weirded out, and bad stuff happened. You don't have to look too far around the world to see what real tough times are all about. So let's drop the negativity and get with the positivity and enjoy what we got by being here in this amazing and wonderful place with all of us together, these great people that we have, even Stan. Like, it's that kind of place. And, just because you were, 19 doesn't, you had more hair, it doesn't mean you can't still get the ladies, man. You just got to have the confidence. Okay. I do miss Palm Beach Atlantic, even though BMP is closer. Interesting. What's the biggest announcement in the NHRA history? Right. What is it? Alan Reinhart, 1968, enjoys the show. See Billy. I don't like that. This guy's watching from Poland. What's up, Fritzl? Our Polish folks out there, like you guys, staying connected in our NHRA drag racing community. Justin, did Grubby leave JFR? No. That is not, as I understand it, and I think that is incorrect information. Maybe, Grubnick is going on to become the czar of the NHRA. That would be the biggest announcement in NHRA. Joe needs a t-shirt, cartoon character pumping a bike pump hooked to a mic. I don't know. I don't think I get that. Menard's buying the NHRA, making it for profit. Would that be one of the biggest announcements? I think it would. New owners, maybe? Interesting. Wow. Alan, NHRA president. I don't think so. I don't know. Now that Reinhardt's gone, does he have the temperament? If you want to be the president of something, you've got to have a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge. And he's got those things, skills and knowledge. But there's also, when do you react? When do you not react? You got to have a certain temperament to be that kind of a leader. Stan wants to get rid of the super classes. I don't want to get rid of the super classes, Stan. Let's see. Reinhart for Czar. Great show. See you in Pomona. So many comments. Where's the WFO party be popping? Right. Thank you, Earl, for picking up on the popping stuff. Little Tay taught me that. In my time with Little Tay on the starting line, she taught me about, that's how you tell people nowadays that something is cool. So I could say be popping. WFO be popping wherever WFO Joe is at the time. And I have learned over the years to go into the PRI trade show with just a wide open, free flowing Bruce Lee, be like water style attitude. I just don't know what's going to be popping at any given moment. My great friends at Fuel Factory, booth number 20. Where is it? Where's the fuel? 4425. I've got something going on Wednesday night. So I'm excited to meet up with the folks at Fuel Factory and see what they're doing as they get ready for their, PRI trade show. But where's the fun? I don't know, but I'm ready to flow. We'll see how it goes. Great show, guys. Yeah, don't get mad because I'm not really mad. I'm just kind of busting your balls a little bit. Just be ready because it comes back the other way. It's the pre-PRI pre-announcement, right? Like, who knows? Tony Stewart is running a nitro car. So I talked to Tony Stewart. He's already running a nitro car. That's an announcement that has already happened. He finished second in the world running a nitro car. Would he be running a Top Fuel dragster? So I spoke with Tony, part of the EPAR Trade Industry Week. And it was a different kind of interview because the audience is this worldwide motorsports industry and genuinely around the world. And so I used the opportunity to have Smoke showcase his passion for drag racing in an effort to end the unfortunate way drag racing is treated by the rest of the motorsports community because we don't turn. for whatever reason, stock cars and Formula One and supercars, and if you IndyCar, if you turn, you're viewed in one way as drivers and in motorsport, and if you go straight, super fast, you maybe don't get the love. And so we talked a little bit about that, but I asked him very specifically, and either he gave me a deke and moved in the other direction, or he told me he was very comfortable where he is in top alcohol dragster and really wants to continue spending time there to grow that category. Would Tony Stewart running a Top Fuel car be one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history? I vote no. I don't think that would be one of our personalities is moving up to the Top Fuel ranks. I don't think so. So I vote no on that. They're going to increase the sportsman payout. Way to go, Garrettson. I love that idea. And you should all be rooting, like, really, because I've seen some negative stuff in the comments section. This NASCAR deal that just got announced, you should all, every sportsman racer should be working together to do something positive and expand NHRA's scope and reach as large as is possible before whenever they have a television negotiation. Instead of spending that Facebook post like saying something negative, you should make that Facebook post. And I'm not saying you're doing this, Chris. I'm using this as an opportunity to make it positive, because that $1.1 billion NASCAR deal, if we can get a fraction of that, and I don't want to put a number on it, then sportsman payouts will go up. That's how you get it done. So many people come up with complaints without offering solutions. And the solution is to grow as much as is possible, as rapidly as possible. And that requires buy-in from every sportsman racer. And that means sharing this post that says the biggest announcement. Like, share that. And then, if it's not the biggest announcement, we'll hold their feet to the fire. Blake can't wait to hear what the big announcement is. Beckman to drive a second Menard funny car. Maynard, I think, is what he means. Yeah, that would not. I love Fast Jack, but I just don't feel like that qualifies as the biggest announcement. Then again, I did say wrong answers only. Ryan Oehler to run a Suzuki. Yeah, that's not happening. Tony fired Leah. Ooh, yeah, that's a wrong answer. What is the news about Grubby, Joe? I answered you, Justin. Come on, man. Stop. Go back and watch John Force on ePart Trade, and you'll know. Joe driving for DSR. Wrong answers only. WJ coming back to Pro Stock. Man, I would love to see Warren and Kurt Johnson. I would love to see Warren and Kurt Johnson back in Pro Stock. They've got cars. They need to update the cars. They've got this stuff. Kurt driving, Warren tuning, Warren and Kurt Johnson back in Pro Stock. That would be great. Matt Hagan to ride a Pro Stock motorcycle. That would be hysterical. Wrong answers only. When is Arizona? Because they're going Florida, then Pomona. Well, the schedule is available on NHRA.com, and I suggest you go there and check it out. But yeah, I think it's the week after that. I think we go from Pomona, Vegas, Arizona, something like that, going the opposite direction. And I'm hearing we should have got Reinhart on the spot, but hearing real positive things coming out about Wild Horse Pass. We'll see. Tony Stewart buying out NHRA. Arizona and then Vegas back to back. There you go. Bigger purses. I don't think that would be a wrong answer. I think everyone would be super happy. Ryan Martin to run Pro Mod 2024. There you go. That's a kind of a fun wrong answer. A guy that very talented driver. Would be interesting to see what he can do in NHRA Pro Mod, right? Like, have to start again. Would he follow in the footsteps of a Stevie Fast or not? Let's see. Positive information about Leah and Matt, clearly. Blake, NHRA will give free season tickets to every NHRA membership holder. That is definitely a good wrong answer, Blake. Good wrong answer. Although I do like the idea of targeted free tickets like we did with Veterans Day at Pomona. That was very exciting. Like, of all the moments that happened this season, and I will not be making a list unless you guys want to during the winter break, then maybe. But when Fast Jack Beckman got into the final Chevrolet Impala and headed his way down in front of the nearly full Pomona grandstand, full of many veterans who had gotten complimentary tickets courtesy of the National Hot Rod Association and In-N-Out Burger, we surprised the world with one last veteran, and it was 102-year-old Ed Iskandarian. And I was the guy who got to make that announcement. And I was, it just kind of came together. And we told everybody that he was a World War II veteran, and we told everybody that he was 102 years old, and we told everybody that he was drag racer, the cam father Ed Iskandarian, and the place went berserk. Like, that as a moment was maybe the best off-track drag racing moment of the year. Maybe we're going to have to do that list. Oh, but a list show. I hate the list shows. Patiently looking forward to the big announcement. Yeah, Steven, you want it. I don't remember. Let's see. What else? Sportsman payouts tripling. Wow, that would be good. BMX racing added to NHRA events. And NHRA announces all track to offer covered grandstands. That would be the biggest announcement in NHRA history. And we would increase our ticket sales by 30%. I'm just making up that number, but that's what I think. If you could cover the fans, you would sell more tickets. There are so many people that would love to go to the race, but it's just like, oh man, it's so hot. So hot. Oh, here we go. Now they're going crazy. To podcast all the races in the MSG sphere. I think they should do a video for the MSG sphere. I think the power of drag racing, like, someone needs to get together and make like a 5-minute short, the video before the video, specifically for the Vegas sphere. We race in Vegas twice. Got to have a connection over there. If you really want to showcase the sound quality of this sphere, let's do some drag racing themed stuff. That would be awesome. I like that idea, Stan. Stan, you get a positive point. That's a merit. Let's see what else. Winding down now. Winding down. Joe Castello announced from a boom camera on the starting line. That would be good. Yeah, John Force preparing for retirement. No. Out of context. Not happening. Poor guy just inks a sponsor deal, and the sponsor is like, hey, I heard you're retiring. Like, not retiring. Not retiring this year. This is not the retirement year. No, not happening. Walt gets it. What a time to be alive. I agree. I know a lot of people hate my positivity, but really, you can get anything at any time from anywhere you want for mostly nothing nowadays. The big problem is, where do we go from here? How do you keep making things better when they're already amazing? And what really sponsored this conversation was the purchase of my Shark vacuum. That's really where it all came together. Like, how great everything is when I bought the vacuum. It's like, this is what vacuuming is now. The world is an amazing place. Let's see what else. All right. I think everybody's out of material now. Oh man. Yeah. When you get this, you're out of material. I think, at least that's what I'm saying. All right, guys. Appreciate all you folks out here in the WFO universe. I am excited to be headed to PRI. I'm excited to be headed to PRI. New Swamp Rat. Look at this. Later, Slug. This was fun. Fun show. Lenny Lottig, Ryan Oehler. See if I can win me a Burromax. Yeah, I believe it is an owner announcement. Maybe. Okay, who would it have to be one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history? Who would it have to be? Tom Cruise? That would be pretty big. But even if it was Tom Cruise, just some actor is going to buy a Top Fuel team, that doesn't feel like one of the biggest announcements in NHRA history. Drag racing on the moon. I have no idea. And I'm just going to leave it there. Hey, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Patreons, thank you for supporting the show. All of our sponsors, thank you for this exercise that we get together. If you're watching for the very first time, we keep the show going as far into the off season as we can. And then the winter break, January and February. Made a lot of friends over the years through this show. If you're watching for the first time and you hate me like vile poison, stick around a couple of weeks. For whatever reason, it just kind of takes a couple of weeks to like warm into the program, to understand that I mean no harm, trying to just keep things going in the positive direction, have a little fun along the way. And we're going to have fun at the PRI trade show. It's going to be great. All kinds of announcements. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I didn't get to say, like Harold Owens. Rest in peace, Harold. Harold worked for the Safety Safaris for so many years. He was out there and beloved character by everybody that knew him. He passed away recently. Rest in peace, Harold. All right, guys, WFO, see you at PRI.